I'm crack senior editor JF Sargent, and the first time I saw Frozen, something weird stuck out to me.
Thousand salad plates.
Right there was when I realized that living in a Disney movie would suck and I don't want to do it. Because despite my charm and sophistication, no royal blood runs in these veins. So instead of dancing through the halls like Anna, I probably would have been the guy in charge of setting up that cake, because I used to have that job. Turns out, it would be terrible to have to work for a living in any Disney movie, and here's why. There's a scene in Aladdin where a wealthy prince is riding a horse through a crowd of people and two kids bump into him. The prince flies into a rage and pulls out his whip, preparing to beat those small children. But then Aladdin, the street rat, heroically leaps forward, catches the prince's whip with his bare arm, and challenges him to a fight. Furious, the prince kicks him into some mud and the entire town starts laughing at him. Is Agrabah full of Nelson Munces? Did these people wake up this morning hoping to see a wealthy guy beat some homeless kids in the street and are now mad at Aladdin for robbing them of that one pleasure? The prince didn't even have an epic zinger, he just had a horse. This town is garbage. I'm surprised Aladdin's first wish wasn't for a bunch of cleansing fire tornadoes, or, on that note, just some food for the starving kids. And this callous cruelty is just the tip of the iceberg. In Beauty and the Beast, when a selfish prince tells a witch that she can't stay in his home, she curses him by turning him into a beast. Then she curses all his employees, which is stretching her role as dispenser of karmic justice. And then she takes it even further by cursing his employees' children, which includes turning a kid named Chip into a broken teacup and somehow halting his aging process, since we know that these people have been cursed for 10 years and Chip can't be older than 5 or 6. Unless Mrs. Potts became impregnated and gave birth to him as a teacup, which, no. To put this in more familiar terms, imagine if your mom's boss was guilty of insider trading, so you had to live your entire life as an Nalgene bottle. It makes no sense. Also, Beast has a room full of furniture employee friends that he has destroyed. How the is that okay? Imagine going to work every day knowing that upstairs is a hall closet packed with the shredded body parts of your coworkers that your boss has murdered and then kept around as his own personal rage trophies. But the worst example has got to be The Lion King. This is a world where the ruling class are literally predators in charge of their prey, which sounds like a New Yorker political cartoon circa 1812. Weird joke. That The Lion King habitually slaughters and consumes his subject and that the film openly justifies this is a terrifying glimpse into the Disney Corporation's worldview. When Simba is doing his just can't wait to be king routine, he's dancing on the faces of animals that are in the throes of a kind of existential horror we can't even imagine. Because if they slip up and Simba hurts himself, they're going to be killed and eaten. And if they don't, they're still gonna be killed and eaten. Everybody look left, or my dad will eat you. And they're the lucky ones, since at least they get to live on the good part of town. If you live in the part of the Pride Lands that isn't gentrified yet, Mufasa literally doesn't think that you're his problem.
What about that shadowy place?
You must never go there, Simba.
But Mr. President, what about Flint, Michigan?
You must never go there, Simba.
I'm starting to think that the scene where Mufasa gets trampled by wildebeests is less tragedy and more people's rebellion. In another scene from Aladdin, Jasmine sneaks out of the palace to explore the world and ends up accidentally stealing an apple to give to a poor child because she has no concept of what it means to pay for something.
You'd better be able to pay for that.
Jasmine is 15 years old. That is too old to start learning about the concept of currency and transaction, especially when she's going to be in charge one day. The community that she owns is plagued with horrific poverty. There is no excuse for her to be just now learning that food costs money. Really? She's 15? Does the internet know that? In Beauty and the Beast, Beast's loyal, cursed employees bravely battle off a mob while Beast hides upstairs and mopes. Even though he's a beast, he is far better equipped for combat than that candelabra or the feather duster or even like most humans. But no, he's sad. Also, I don't think it's a coincidence that these people literally turned into their jobs as if they had no other identity or use, because that's all working people are in Disney movies. Tools to be used by the ruling class whenever they feel it convenient. Like Ariel and Little Mermaid has a bunch of fish friends with nothing better to do than sing songs about her whenever she needs a pick-me-up. Side note, how weird is this for Prince Eric right now? Are his oars usually covered in harmonizing amphibians, or is this like a unique thing? Because either way, that is a smooth motherfucker. You can easily make the argument that Scar from The Lion King is a civil rights hero.
Stick with me, and you'll never go hungry again!
Because even if he's lying to the hyenas to manipulate them into helping him, the fact that a big chunk of the Pride Lands population is starving enough to follow his scrawny ass into total war just for food is a pretty good sign that things aren't great. You can't destabilize a healthy populace just by offering them a meal. In fact, the only reason Scar's plan doesn't work out is because him being in charge somehow magically causes a drought. The f does that work? Regardless, Across all these movies, there is consistently no hope for comprehensive social reform, even if comprehensive social reform is the point of the movie. The central conflict of Pocahontas is that Pokes and Jay Smizzle fall in love even though their cultures are so different. You'd think they'd end up together. But then, at the end, the magical powers of Disney come in with a weird bullshit reason they have to be apart.
Going back is his only chance. He'll die if he stays here.
Yeah, that gut wound will kill him unless he spends 2 to 3 months in the bilge of a filthy schooner eating rotten meat and developing scurvy. What the f are you talking about, Christian Bale? Mulan spends 90 minutes proving that women can be skilled warriors even though nobody else in that movie thinks that's true. But at the end, she decides to quietly go back to her life of being a submissive woman. Why? If any Disney character deserves to graduate to a higher social class, it's her. She single-handedly repelled a Hun invasion. This is the greatest victory in a battle for civil rights that you could dream of. Imagine if Rosa Parks had killed a platoon of Canadian Mounties with an avalanche and then defeated Prime Minister Louis Saint Laurent in single combat on the roof of the burning Capitol building. Wouldn't have taken us 60 more years to get a black president, that's for damn sure. Belle's first song in Beauty and the Beast is about how she's better than everyone and it pisses me off. I understand wanting to get out of a small town and go to a city, but Belle doesn't want to go to a population center to build things or be an actor or invent penicillin. She just wants status. Yeah, there he goes, making a living, that loser. What is it you do again, Belle? Oh, you read all day. This actually gets to the heart of the story Disney is selling over and over and over again in all their movies. When a hero isn't already royalty, it's just because their true nature hasn't been justly rewarded by the universe yet. Aladdin, Tarzan, and Mulan are only treated poorly because no one recognizes that inherently, they're better than everyone else. Maybe that's why Aladdin doesn't use his genie wishes to feed all the starving children that he shares the streets with. Deep down, he knows that he isn't one of them, so he doesn't really have to care. Now, if you're really good with dates and movie trivia, you may have noticed that aside from Frozen, this whole video has just been about movies made between The Little Mermaid in 1989 and Tarzan in 1999. That's on purpose, because that period, known as the Disney Renaissance, is when Disney went from being just another movie studio into the unstoppable pop culture freight train that we all know and fear today. Because Disney literally made half of all the money spent on movies in 2015. It's hard to imagine, but in the 80s, Disney animation wasn't doing very well. The Black Cauldron, The Great Mouse Detective, and Oliver & Company had not only flopped, but they'd been beaten at the box office by The Land Before Time and An American Tail, movies made by Don Bluth, a former Disney animator who had left the company to pursue his own projects. So not only were these movies financial failures, they were professionally embarrassing. And here's where we see the shift. Most of Disney's movies in the 80s were about underdogs. Black Cauldron is about a kid working on a pig farm, Oliver & Company is about an orphaned cat, and The Great Mouse Detective is about a mouse. Then in 1989, Disney had a runaway success with The Little Mermaid, a story about a princess with tons of friends who ends the story just as wealthy and powerful as she was literally the entire time. From then on, there's a clear connection with the Disney hero's status and how much money we deliriously throw at the screen. Movies like Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast are about royalty doing pretty well and they rake in the cash. But look at the failures. Rescuers Down Under is about mice rescuing a working class kid from a poacher and it bombs. Partly because 90s audience don't know genius when they see it. Pocahontas is a princess, but of the underdogs. Hunchback is a gross guy who doesn't even get the girl, and Hercules decides at the end to not become a god. Disney's stock dropped 10% because of that movie. That's not a joke. Now, obviously there are other factors that determine why a movie is successful. Hercules and Hunchback aren't very good, Beauty and the Beast is damn near perfect. But like any company that's putting out movies and art, Disney is looking for patterns. They want a correlation between box office success and content, because that means they can predict future success. So they're using these lessons to inform later movies. Like in Frozen, for example, where the Snow Witch Queen, Elsa, freezes an entire coastal community, dropping the temperature so low that people inside the castle almost freeze to death. The movie never mentions the fact that anyone who doesn't have a castle froze to death a long time ago. Also, they're super disrespectful to the event setup staff. Just wait until we're not there anymore so it's not our fault when you ruined my cake, for Christ's sake, Anna. I made $12.50 an hour. So I didn't just do the cake thing, I actually mainly installed dance floors, but there are no dance floors in Frozen, so I have less experience with cake than I do with dance floors. Also, Gaston's kind of an but that doesn't fit with what I was doing here. Please like and subscribe.